This is David Talbot, GV Wire, here with Fresno Unified Superintendent Michael Hanson. Here talking about Measure X, and
Yes.
I don't know if it's a lot more contentious than you thought, but we've heard both sides, but there's a lot of opposition, and one of the questions they have, and why is there no formal yes on X committee?
Well, candidly, we polled incredibly high at about 79%, and we had a 6-1 vote back in August, including Member Mills voting yes. And so according to our board bylaws, when you vote yes and the board majority votes yes, you act in accordance with that. So, we've had some board members who are very aggressively out and against sinking this thing. It will amount to about a $3 tax decrease next year should the thing fail. And so as people potentially, if this does not pass, enjoy a $3 cup of coffee at Starbucks, they will be missing out on 26 multi-purpose rooms and cafeterias that don't have air conditioning. They will miss out on refurbished gymnasiums and portable classrooms being removed all across the district. I think there's an informational flyer that's out in most homes now. We sent it out all over, and you can certainly go to FresnoUnified.org and see the entire list of projects that are going to be proposed with this $225 million. I think there's also an argument that if we wait until 2018, we can get a bigger bond. What people are forgetting is we have a poor city with a low assessed valuation of property. So the $225 million bond is the biggest bond we could go for without raising taxes. You don't just ask for money on a loan, basically, on a bond, if you don't have something to back it up. And they do that against the UHS valuation of the property in town. So the notion that we'll just wait until 2018 and go for a much bigger one stops our building program cold, and we'll lose a lot of progress and momentum. And also, there probably will not be a bigger bond to be had because assessed valuation, as we've seen over the last decade, has not been growing very quickly at all.
Obviously stated the reason why it's important, but why not a formal committee like there have been on other bond measures and there are others in other school districts in the county?
Simply because we didn't think that we would need one, candidly. There's plenty of public goodwill around the schools, and all that was done in Measure, we actually outperformed in Measure Q on all metrics that we thought that we put forward to folks. We actually gathered more money from the state. We actually have a lower repayment rate than we thought we would have that we sold to people. And given all the projects all around town and the polling numbers that we had, and given candidly that we had a 6-1 vote, we made a decision that we would go forward in the way that we did. And if it proves to be problematic and two board members have taken advantage to sink the entire bond, well, then that's something we'll have to live with as a city. And I think it's bad for kids that the politics of adults got in the way of what's best for children.
Another concern that we've heard from the opposition they keep banging over and over again is, well, this bond doesn't have money for salaries for teachers and administration. You want to care to respond to that?
Yeah, it's an out-and-out lie. I mean, and they know it too. It's been talked about repeatedly. What we do not pay for administration out of a bond. It is actually backed up by an attorney general ruling that says you can't do it, but you can pay for your project management out of it, which the attorney general of California considers to be part of the project. So for people to continue to make something that's not there, I can only assume. I can't assume anymore because they've been told enough that they don't understand it. I just have to assume at this point they choose to be dishonest about it.
All right. Another major funder on the No on X campaign is the Charter Schools Association and their various PACs.
Yeah.
They said initially that they were behind the Yes on X idea, but they kind of pulled support when they weren't getting a commitment for money for charter schools. So how much money in Measure X is for charter schools, and how come the disagreement, how this rift come about?
Well, so a couple of things. So Daily Charter School is a charter in Fresno Unified, independent charter, and it is in Measure X. So their charter schools are accounted for, at least the one that's in the district. Number two, the Charter Association approached us literally 11th hour, a week before the board was going to take a vote on the bond. Number three, we hoped to go out in this bond for about $420 million, but because of assessed valuation, we could only go out for $225 million and keep the tax rate stable. So there were a lot more projects we wanted to do than we could do. And third, candidly, the Charter Association locally has not performed with some of their independent charters. And in the most recent time they were before us, they said they would get something done at an expansion, and they actually didn't even pull it off. So I understand that they're upset, but they actually made a request that was, in essence, a pay-to-play. You give us money out of your bond for charter schools, and we'll actually fund your campaign. And that's a pay-to-play scheme that we're against lock, stock, and barrel. We denied it, and they didn't like it. And so, if we pay a price for that, that's fine. But integrity of the district, integrity of the superintendent, integrity of the majority of the board matters a great deal to us. We didn't expect that they'd spend up to $100,000, but we made our displeasure known with the Charter Association. And we'll find out on Election Day again if the politics of a few adults are going to outweigh the benefit of 74,000 kids or not.
Now, this transitions to the University High School charter renewal issue.
Absolutely.
The head of the University High School board feels that they're caught in the middle, that they feel that the fact that this is an issue at all is somehow politics, somehow payback from the district against them because of what the Charter School Association is doing. Is this any kind of retaliation or payback?
No. So what I would say is you're looking as a superintendent who has been repeatedly in public saying I'm a huge fan of school choice. I want school choice actually to be an operation where there are good school choices for kids. My own kids, I will just be very personal about it. My own children have been a driver behind school choice in our own family. My two oldest children chose Baird Middle School as 5-8 as a 5-8 campus to go to, and they had phenomenal experiences there. My youngest chose to stay at her home neighborhood school for grades 5 and 6. My oldest actually chose to go to University High School and is now in college doing well. And my second child is now a senior at Edison and chose to go across town to Edison. So they made choices all the way through and were very articulate about what they wanted to do and why they wanted to go to different types of schools. And we as parents supported them given that they were well reasoned. So we've even in our own household have a good record of supporting school choice. The issue with University High is separate and apart from the politics of what the Charter Association is trying to do with our bond. And this goes back to our authority as the chartering entity. And so this is very, very clear. 5 years ago when they came back and they got renewal, Dr. Bushman and the charter was told at University High, and we love University High. We think it's a great school. It deserves to be here. It's a great option for kids on the Valley floor. But our board was very clear. It does not represent the Valley floor and the kids of Fresno. And also there are some exclusionary practices through admissions that need to be addressed. And that's what we're working through right now. And what I would say right now, I think we have a very positive conversation going back and forth. Kim Meekum, our chief academic officer, Paul Berry, and others on the board have been going back and forth, and they're working through a number of issues. And I expect, without speaking for our board majority, I expect that we'll be able to work that through before this thing comes back to our board for ultimate decision. So let me be very, very clear. There is nothing about the University High Charter renewal that is tied up with what Jeff Sands, as the local representative of the State Charter Association, has been doing with a couple of our board members and doing some hit pieces with mailings around our bond Measure X. Those are separate and apart, two distinct and separate issues completely.
One of those admission standards perhaps in contest that we heard at the board hearings a couple weeks ago was the music requirement. Do you think University High School should still have the music requirement?
Well, I think we've got a legal, where I'll leave that is we have a legal opinion that we have shared with their board, and so I think that's up between their board and our board. That's going to have to be something that in this next 4 or 5 days that they figure out and come to a conclusion on. I don't know the outcome of what their last board meeting was.
Well, they voted to study it, but we're going to keep it for now.
Okay, so that'll be something that our board is then going to have to respond to. So I don't think it's over, as they say, until the singing is all done. and we will take it as we go at our next board meeting, and our staff will make a recommendation based on where we think their board is at the very last minute going into that meeting. Things like this are very touchy, and I know there's going to be calculations made by Dr. Bushman and his board about how far they think they can go, and I understand that, but also legal authority and legal opinions have to be dealt with, so that we make sure that we're doing our due diligence as the charter authority to make sure that we are following law as we have been advised.
Now, if the music requirement stays in, can you still support their charter? Would you recommend the board to renew the charter?
I would leave that as a part of our conversation we still have to have with our board.
So you're still not going to say one way or the other right now?
I'm not gonna make my recommendation or the staff's recommendation public until we've still got multiple days to work on this until we get ready for the board meeting.